class we are going to talk about degeneracy. Fine, this degeneracy is very little bit for your syllabus, but still we need to learn it as it is a part of the syllabus. So we are going to study about what is degeneracy. Fine. So as per the syllabus only we are supposed to learn the definition of the degeneracy. Fine. And also I am going to clarify some doubts regarding degeneracy. What is this degeneracy is all about? Where it exists? How it arises? Fine. So degeneracy is a phenomenon. Fine. The phenomenon of obtaining a degenerate basic feasible solution in a LPP is known as degeneracy. And what is degeneracy here? Obtaining degenerate basic feasible solution. Degenerate basic feasible solution for the given LPP is called as what? Degeneracy. So degeneracy, you see, in LPP may arise. What? May arise. At initial stage. Whereas second one, at any subsequent iteration so this degeneracy may arise at two situations. One is at initial stage or at any subsequent stage during the iteration. So iterations means here the simplex method. Fine. Iteration means solving the LPP in simplex method will give you iterations, is nothing but an iteration. So in any of the iteration it may be initial simplex method, initial simplex table iteration, or that is I mean to say initial iteration or first iteration or second iteration. Fine. Like that the degeneracy can occur at any subsequent iteration stage. But what happens in case 1? That is at 1, in case 1, that is first one, at least one of the basic variable should be 0 in the initial basic feasible solution. Fine. What happens in case 1? At least one basic variable should be 0 in the initial basic feasible solution. What happens in case 1? At least one basic variable has to be 0 in the initial basic feasible solution. That is called what? Degeneracy. Whereas in case case to at any iteration at any iteration of the simplex method more than one variable is eligible to leave the basis and hence the next simplex iteration procedure or produces a degenerate solution. Degenerate solution in which at least one basic variable is zero. I mean to say that is the subsequent iteration may not produce improvements in the value of objective function. So let me explain this one. So degeneracy arises. What is degeneracy? So obtaining a degenerate basic feasible solution for an NPP is called as degeneracy. So degeneracy may arise in two cases. One is at the initial stage, another one is at any subsequent stage of the iteration. So the first case is that at least one basic variable should be zero in the initial basic feasible solution. At least one basic variable should be zero in the initial basic feasible solution. In case of any of the iteration of the simplex method has more than one variable eligible to leave the basis, right? So which leaves the basis, which is the most minimum. So more than one variable has got the same minimum value, that is xb upon xi. So both and more than one variable are eligible to leave the basis, and hence the next simplex iteration produces a degenerate solution in which at least one basic variable is zero. That is, the subsequent iteration may not produce what? Improvements in the value of objective function. Right? This is what degeneracy means. So as a result, what happened here? As a result, it is possible to repeat repeat the same sequence of simplex iteration endlessly without improving the solution. Without improving the solution. This concept is known as cycling. That is type. Fine. So we are going to continue. As we come to know, the iteration may not produce any improvement in the objective function. What it results? We may go doing the simplex iteration, doing endless iterations, but still there is no improvement in the solution. So this type of concept is known as cycling. That is type. Means how many iterations you wanted to do it, but you won't get any solution for that. That is basic feasible solution. Fine. So this concept degeneracy, this is what the degeneracy concept. And happens obtaining what degenerate basic feasible solution for an MPP is called a degeneracy. There are two types. One is we can get degeneracy in two cases. One is at initial stage and one is at any subsequent stage of the iteration. Fine. So at initial stage there is only one basic, at least one basic variable should be 0 in initial basic feasible solution. Whereas in case 2, at any iteration of the simplex method, more than one variable are ready to leave the basis. Fine. And hence the next simplex table does not produces any degenerate in the next simplex table it produces a degenerate solution. But what happens here? The subsequent iteration may not give improvement or may not improve the values in the objective function. Fine. So if you proceed further by the more iterations, but you won't get any basic feasible solution. So in that concept is called as, in the case that concept is called as cycling or a type. Thank you very much.